Fate is not kind, nor is it cruel. It simply is. And for Perseus, fate had long ago decided his path. He was no ordinary man, for his birth itself was entangled in the will of the gods. King Acrisius of Argos had feared the words of the oracle, "Your grandson will one day be your doom." Terrified, he imprisoned his only daughter Danae in a tower of bronze, believing he could defy the gods themselves. But the gods cannot be denied. From the heavens, Zeus descended in a golden rain, and from that union, Perseus was born. Acrisius, still afraid, cast mother and child into the sea in a wooden chest, hoping to silence fate forever. But the gods had other plans. The waves carried Danae and Perseus safely to the island of Seriphos, where a kind fisherman, Dictys, took them in. Perseus grew strong, brave, and noble, unaware that his destiny was waiting to call him forth. The ruler of Seriphos, King Polydectes, had long coveted Danae, but Perseus, now a young warrior, stood between him and his ambitions. So the king devised a plan. He challenged Perseus to bring him the head of Medusa, the deadliest of the three Gorgon sisters, knowing the task was impossible. But Perseus, proud and fearless, accepted the challenge. And so, the young hero set out, not knowing that his journey would shake the heavens themselves. No man could slay Medusa alone, but Perseus was no ordinary man. He was a son of Zeus, and the gods would not let him walk this path without aid. First, Athena, the goddess of wisdom, appeared before him. Athena, armored and radiant, hands Perseus a polished bronze shield. "Look into this, not her eyes. It will be your salvation." Then came Hermes, swift as the wind, offering Perseus a celestial sword, sharp enough to cut through any creature, even a Gorgon's cursed flesh. "Strike swiftly and fear nothing." With their guidance, Perseus sought out the Graea, the three ancient sisters who shared a single eye. He seized it from them mid-passage, demanding they reveal the way to Medusa's lair. The path was revealed, and the hero now had everything he needed, except time, for the moment of fate was approaching. Perseus dons the helm of Hades, vanishing into the shadows. Deep beyond the edges of the known world, past the land where mortals dare not tread, lay a cursed island, a place where even the wind did not whisper. Here the air was thick with decay, the ground littered with statues of men, their faces frozen in eternal horror. These were warriors, hunters, fools who had dared to gaze upon Medusa, only to be turned to stone in an instant. Now Perseus stood at the mouth of this living tomb, knowing that one misstep would make him just another lifeless figure in her collection. Perseus walks past a shattered stone warrior, his hand still clutching a rusted sword. A crow lands nearby, then turns to stone. In an instant, Perseus gripped his sword, his heart pounding. He would not look upon Medusa directly. He would only see her through the reflection of Athena's shield. The lair is revealed, dark, ominous, and within it, the slithering sound of something inhuman. She was here. She was no ordinary beast, no mere villain of men's stories. She had once been a maiden of beauty, a servant of Athena, until fate, cruel as ever, turned her into something monstrous. Medusa, her hair once golden, was now a writhing nest of venomous serpents. Her skin, pale as the moon, bore the scars of her cursed existence, and her eyes were death itself. Medusa, half hidden in the shadows, her gaze shifting, seeking, hunting. She did not speak. She did not need to. Perseus moved slowly, cautiously, the shield angled so he could see only her reflection. Perseus grips his sword tightly, sweat on his brow, as the hissing of the serpents grows louder. One mistake, and he would be lost. One glance, and he would never leave this place alive. Medusa suddenly turns, her gaze landing just inches from Perseus' face. He freezes. Would he be fast enough? Would he strike before she saw him? The moment of fate had come. The moment of fate had arrived. In the darkness of the cursed lair, hero and monster faced each other, but only one would leave alive. Perseus crouches low, his shield angled carefully, watching Medusa's reflection in the polished bronze. The slithering of her serpents fills the cavern, echoing like whispers of doom. Medusa moved with unnatural speed, her serpent hair writhing, tasting the air. She had sensed him. She cannot see him, but she knows he is here. Perseus tightened his grip on his celestial blade, the weapon gleaming with divine energy. He dared not look up, but he heard her every step, every breath, every shift of her deadly gaze. A warrior statue nearby begins to crack, as if Medusa's presence alone threatens to undo it. Suddenly, a blur of movement. Medusa lunges, striking like a viper, her claws tearing through the air where Perseus stood just moments before. He rolls to the side, barely escaping her grasp. The battle had begun. She struck again, sharp talons slicing through the air, her serpentine tendrils snapping at him like whips. Perseus dodged, barely staying ahead of death itself. He could not face her directly. He could only trust the shield. But Medusa was no mindless beast. She was cunning. She changed her movement, attacking from unpredictable angles, forcing Perseus to react faster than he ever had before. One mistake, that was all it would take. Then, his foot hit a stone, a misstep. He stumbled, and she struck. Medusa's claws flashed forward, slashing across Perseus's shoulder. Blood spills onto the cavern floor. Perseus gritted his teeth, pain burning through his body, but he could not stop. He would not stop. He raises the shield again, using the reflection to track her movements as she circles him like a predator. Then he saw his chance. The gods had chosen this moment, this strike, this fate. Medusa lunges once more, her mouth open in a silent snarl, fangs bared. Perseus moved first. In a blur of motion, he swings his blade, not towards her head, but towards her reflection in the shield. The celestial steel struck true. The blade cuts through her neck in a flash of divine light. For a moment, silence. Medusa froze. Her serpents shuddered, their movements slowing. Her hands reached for her throat, only to feel nothing. And in that moment, the curse was broken. Her body crumbled. The head fell, severed, yet still deadly, its eyes holding the power to petrify even in death. Perseus catches the head in a satchel before its gaze can claim another victim. It was over. The beast was slain. The legend was born. But the death of a monster is never the end of the tale. From the blood of Medusa, something new was born, a creature unlike any before. The earth trembled. From Medusa's remains, golden light burst forth, blinding in its brilliance. Then, a mighty wing beats against the cavern air. Pegasus, a winged horse of pure white, emerges, shaking off the last remnants of the curse, its eyes filled with divine wisdom. The steed of the gods, the winged horse of Olympus, had come into the world. Perseus, bloodied but victorious, looked upon the creature with reverence. The hero's journey was not yet complete, but with Pegasus at his side, he would never walk alone. Perseus had won his battle, but the war was not over. He had promised the head of Medusa to a tyrant. Now it was time to deliver it. The throne room of Seriphos. King Polydectes, lounging on his throne, smirks as Perseus enters. "Have you brought me a trophy, boy?" The king sneered. Perseus, silent, untied the satchel. He lifts Medusa's head high. Its eyes flash, and in an instant, the room falls silent. King Polydectes did not have time to scream. The tyrant turns to stone, his face forever frozen in shock and terror. The wicked had met their end. The island of Seriphos was free. With his journey complete, Perseus did not seek a throne, nor riches. He sought only to return home, to his mother, to his people, to peace. But fate had one final gift for him, a temple atop a mountain. The gods watch as Perseus ascends. Zeus himself placed Perseus' name among the stars. His deeds would never fade, his name would never be lost. A constellation in the night sky, the shape of a warrior holding a shield and sword. Perseus, the slayer of Medusa, would be remembered forever, not just as a hero, but as a legend. Even today, when we look up at the night sky, we see him. A warrior frozen in time, his blade forever raised against the darkness. Perhaps that is what true heroism is. Not just victory, but the ability to inspire for generations to come. A child looks up at the night sky, eyes full of wonder. The stars twinkle as the constellation of Perseus watches over them. This is the power of myth. This is the story of Perseus and Medusa, the gaze of death and the triumph of a hero.